Alright, for this battle report we have a scenario between my Bretonnian army and a Lizardmen army. I just started a campaign, and actually the guy I'm playing is running the campaign here locally. So for the next several weeks we'll have a bunch of scenarios being played out. But this is interesting too because this is the Lizardmen army that beat me up so badly just a few games ago. So I was anxious to get some revenge. So just to lay out the board, you can see on the right there's a hill, or two hills on the right, and on the left there's a hill and some woods, and in the middle, just to the left middle, is some impassable terrain. So what this is supposed to be is for about a 12 or 15 inch wide gap down the middle of the board is supposed to be something like a road that my guys are marching down and I get ambushed by the Lizardmen. So the rules are I have to set up first, ideally within a 12-inch wide area up to 24 inches across the board. And it looks like I'm 2/3 of the way across the board, but that's just a weird angle with the camera. I'm exactly halfway across. I wouldn't fit 12 inches wide though because my army's so big, so that's a little bit wider in parts. But I had to set up first completely, and then the Lizardmen were able to set up, and then Lizardmen are able to go first. And so I'm a little bit concerned about that, really anxious. But to make up for it, we fight a battle as normal, but any unit I get all the way across the board and off the board, I get to take the points from that unit and add them to my score. So there's a possibility of me racking up a bunch of points that way. So this is what I was looking at. In the middle of the board he puts two big blocks of Saurus Spearmen, great anvil units. I'm really anxious about having to go against those guys head on. There's no way I'm going to get a flank attack on them. So that seemed like a good strategy just to stop me from racing off the board. Next to him he's got his Slann. This guy, I don't know everything he has, but I know that every time he casts a spell he gets to throw in an extra die, kind of like the High Elf Dragon Mage. And he has a battle standard and the war banner. So I don't know if he has anything other than that. I know that he has a total of 6 power dice and knows all the spells from the lore of metal, which is just the bane of my army. So a little bit concerned about the Slann. On the left you can see he's got a Stegodon up top. There's a character in there, and it's got the bolt thrower, and then he's got some skinks with Croxagores. So it's obvious that he's going to stop me with the Spearman and then crash into my side with the Stegodon and have the Croxagores flank me as well. And on the other side he follows the same strategy. He's got the Ancient Stegodon, or whatever it's called, up top. This one doesn't have a character on it, but he's got skinks with blowpipes. But anyway, they do 4d6 shots at short range, so it's pretty nasty shooting attack if it gets close to you. He's got some more of those skinks with Croxagores, and he's got that character in that unit. I think he's called the Scarvet, but he flies, or he has the bound item that allows him to fly. Then he's got a Salamander. So, and again, I didn't know where he was at. I had to set up first. So I put my two big blocks of Knights in the lead, with Knights Errant on the left with my BSB, Knights of the Realm on the right. I've got Pegasus Knights between them. Pegasus Knights there on the right as well. Then I've got another big unit of Knights Errant. Got some Skirmishing Bowmen, Fast Cav. Behind them I have Men-at-Arms, Grail Knights, my General, my units of Peasant Bowmen, and it looks like they're facing to the side, but they're not. My guys had to be facing forward as if I were walking down the road. And then I've got a 10-man unit of Men-at-Arms Spearmen. So just kind of jammed up in there. So this gives you a better feel for maybe what I was looking at. So my thought was if I can, go around the Spearmen, but with my units up front I'm not sure I'm going to be able to. So anyway, on his first turn you can see he moved his skinks a little bit closer, but everybody else is hanging back. His Saurus Warriors, he knows I have to come to him. The Stegodon's hanging back, making sure I don't get the charge on it. And really the same thing over here, the only exception being that he took that Scarvet and flew it into the flank of my my Pegasus Knights. This picture doesn't show that, but that's what he did. So on my turn, you can see in the lower right those Pegasus Knights are still there. They're locked in combat with that character. I took the Pegasus Knights that you see at the top of the board, and I barely had enough range to reach his Slann with one of them in combat. The other two couldn't quite make it that far. So, oh, if I could take that guy out first turn, that would be just wonderful, because he's really scaring me with all those spells and extra dice he's throwing around. I took my 2 big blocks of knights together. I think I'm just going to try to smash into one of his spearman unit. I think if I can combine attack that, I should be okay. Brought my general out to the left so he can fly over the head of that skink unit and crash into that large target Stegodon. And my other big unit of knights errant you see on the left, I'm angling them, and I'm not going to go against the Saurus warriors if I can help it, so I'll just come out here to the side. Other side of the board, you can see that's where we're fighting with the Scarvet. Then I take my Grail Knights and I turn them, and I'm thinking the same thing. I'm just going to bust out the side and then go around that hill and up the board. All the peasants, quite frankly, I don't care about. It would take them 5 turns, I think, of marching full speed to get off the board. I don't think they can make it anyway. So they're just kind of messing around in the middle. I do move them up. In hindsight, I should have just done the opposite and let them hang back towards my side of the board and stay completely out of the action. But whatever. They're just peasants. So after fighting, yeah, I did no wounds on the guy. I think he had like a 4-up ward and a 4-up regen save, but I don't think it ever came to that. I didn't land anything, and with his extra combat res, he won it by 1 or 2 when I failed my break test. So Pegasus Knights did no good whatsoever. They're fleeing back at me. My Pegasus Knights on this side killed that Scarvet that flew into him, so that was nice. And they didn't kill him. They broke him in combat and then overran him and were able to go straight into the front of that Crocscore skink unit. And I'm not sure I'm going to do great with them, but at least it holds them up so they don't come crashing into the flank of my whole line of guys. Because that was one of my concerns, is I was really kind of bottled up together. You can see I brought my fast cav over just to shoot at the skinks that are with the salamander. And other than that, that was my turn. So Lizardmen turn 2. You can see he took his Stegodon on the right and charged my fleeing Pegasus Knights. So they fled again over top of my 2 big blocks of knights, both of whom had to take a panic test, but they passed it, thankfully. Otherwise, he's not moving. He's just staying there waiting for me to come to him. Sorry about this photo, it's kind of turned weird, but that's on the right-hand side. Those are my Pegasus Knights that beat the Scarvet, overran into that unit. We fought on his turn. I directed all my attacks towards the skinks, hoping just to get as much combat resolution as I could, because I don't like these guys' odds of killing those Crocsagores. And so I killed a bunch of skinks. His Crocsagores came at me. They did 1 wound on a Pegasus Knight, which was enough to kill him, because the Scarvet had already put a wound on one. And I won combat, but with their cold-blooded rule, they stood. So not looking too good for the Pegasus Knights there. So on my turn, the big unit on the left breaks out and charges head-on to that skink Crocscore unit. And I'm excited about this, because if I can win and pursue him straight, that gets me way off to the side of the board, and I'll be able to turn and get off, and there's nothing else he could probably do to me. My general charged into the front of that Stegodon, so that hopefully I'll kill it, and if not, we should be able to stay there to keep him from cramming into the flanks of these guys. Now, for these, the only hope I have is to break him this first turn and overrun, because if not, he's going to have way too many attacks coming back at me next turn, and he'll be in the flank with that other unit. So it's break him here, or we die. That's it. So, yeah, so that's that one. On this side of the board, you can see I took my Grail Knights, charged them in to help the Pegasus Knights. I'm pretty confident about that battle now. And then I took the Fast Cav and Peasant Bowmen, who were both just awful in combat. But I'm thinking it shouldn't be hard to kill those skinks, and hopefully I'll have enough combat res to take care of the Salamander. So here we are is a nice overview shot of my turn 2, and that's me breaking out. You see I'm rushing out to the left, to the right, and to the front. And if I win the combats, I should be okay. And if I don't, I'm going to be in just a world of hurt. So that's the end of Bretonnia turn 2. We'll see how it goes starting in the next segment.